Hey, it's 2019 and this is the PNW Real Estate first monthly market update. Now, a few of the stats that we're always going to look at as we look over the monthly market update is the months of inventory, cumulative days on the market, how much homes are selling for compared to their list price, what are the active pending and sold properties on the market that are available, and how that affects you as a buyer or a seller. Now, one thing that we noticed straight from the beginning, that every year, right around January or February, buyers start to come out to play. They start to look at houses again, start to be showing homes, they're done with the holidays, they're excited to think about the next year, maybe they have some real estate goals that are in mind, and around January or February, we notice that buyers come back out to play. Usually sellers don't come back around until around March or April because they're confident that somewhere between April and August is the best time to sell. However, there's always that sweet spot that as a seller, that if you're able to capitalize on putting your house on the market early around January or February, you're maximizing on or capitalizing on the amount of buyers that are available when there's not as many sellers. Now, compared to this time last year, there was only about 20% more homes that were available than homes that have recently sold. This year, there's almost twice as many homes available as homes that have recently sold. That typically indicates to us that there has been somewhat of a shift in the market. Taking into consideration that every year we see some similar cycles, but we're seeing a little bit of a yield, what we call it, between what was happening last year and what's happening this year. That being said, when we look at months of inventory, and last year around this time we were around 1.2 months of inventory. Not a lot. That's a pretty restrained market for what's available and pretty competitive for buyers. Comparing that to this year at 2.1 months of inventory, that means buyers have a lot more to choose from this year. Now, keep in mind, anything that's less than 3 months of inventory is still considered a seller's market. So sellers, it's still your market, but buyers, it's about 80% easier to purchase a home and to compete less than it has been in Pierce, King, Thurston, and surrounding counties. Now, one other thing that we typically start seeing for at least a few months around this time every year is that the price per square foot does start to go up a little bit. What's pretty consistent and pretty steady is that every year around this time, the buyers start to come back out. The amount of homes on the market come back out. The amount of average days on market, the amount of time it takes for a seller to get rid of their home or to pass it on to another buyer, that time shortens. The price per square foot starts to go back up, and these are all stats that are consistent with what we're seeing this year. That being said, around this time last year, homes were selling for on average $238 per square foot. This time this year, homes are selling for around $252 per square foot. Buyers, keep in mind, what that means is that we're not seeing the same 10 to 12% year over year return on buying a home. If you're purchasing a home right now, don't get caught into that mentality that I'm going to buy it now and I'm going to sell it in 6 to 12 months and make a handful of money. That's not happening as much anymore. But what we are seeing is a very consistent and a very healthy graduation on home values, closer to what they should be in a good market. Finally, average days on market went up from November to 45 days on market on average in order to get under contract to about 53 days on the market is where we're at right now. Around this time last year, most sellers were getting about 98% of their list price for the home. This year, 95% of list price. That's a percentage that we haven't seen for about 3 years, meaning that if your home was listed for $500,000 on average, those sellers are getting about $475,000. In summary, to answer the question that everybody's been asking, is the market shifting? Yes, absolutely. The question that always should follow that is that okay? Is it expected? Is it still a good time to buy? Is it still a good time to sell? And the answer is yes. It's still a great time to sell. It's a seller's market with less than 3 months of inventory and most homes that have seen quite a bit of appreciation over the last 6 or 7 years. Is it a great time to buy? Absolutely. Interest rates are still at historical lows, although they may be increasing more soon, and it's finally a little bit less competitive than it has been around this time last year. Thanks for watching the January PNW Real Estate Monthly Market Update. Feel free to ask any questions about the market either through messaging us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or wherever else that you might find us, or by commenting below and helping us to create our next video.